Suburban Sentinel here with our third installment in our series on designing and building emergency or disaster kits. In the first two videos, we laid some foundation for kit philosophy and began the planning process. In today's video, we begin evaluating our emergency preparedness material needs. Now, before making lists of equipment to put in our kits, or what we commonly refer to as kit contents lists, or KCLs, we want a thorough evaluation of our survival requirements. Having a written summary assures that we have a methodical and therefore complete materials analysis. My strategy for our family is to divide our survival requirements into different functional groups, categories, and subcategories. Note that not every category applies to each type of emergency kit, but it's helpful to have a master list of survival or disaster preparedness items. I'm going to switch the camera over to my computer screen so we can go through the groups and categories in some detail. Okay, we're over here at the confuser screen, and in our household we divide our survival requirements into three major groups. And hopefully this appears on the screen okay. The first group is what I call the physical health group. And by the way, if you want this information, don't feel like you have to write any of this down. I'm going to leave links to all these categories and other written information for your use and enjoyment. Anyway, the physical health group is pretty much self-explanatory. Three categories within that group. The first of which, basic necessities, obviously shelter, water, food, and clothing, because you're not going to survive for very long without any of those. Second category within that group, first aid, medical first aid that is. And the third group, health and sanitation, and that is regarding the longer term medical, dental, and hygienic requirements for every person in your family or group. The second major group I refer to as the force multiplier group. And this basically consists of items that you can live without, or at least should be able to live without, but having them makes life easier and or allows for longer term survival. Now there are four categories within what I call my force multiplier group, and we'll go through those in a little bit of detail. First of which is security. In an SHTF or whatever type of situation, security is always a concern. You want to have early warning from potential intruders, and you want to have access control to where both your people and your gear is. Second category within security are weapons. My preferred weapons are firearms, but that is not always feasible, desirable, or legal depending on who you are and where you are. But weapons of some sort, I believe, are important. The second major category within the force multiplier group is the NavCom category, that is navigation and communication. Items such as maps, compasses, if people still use those, at least people other than me, I still rely on maps and compasses primarily. GPS and other navigation equipment, radios, and signaling devices. Again, this type of equipment may not be necessary under all emergency circumstances, but we want a master list of all potential needs. Third major category under this group, transportation and logistics. You want to have planned routes to move people and material, and you also need the vehicles to do so. Final category in this group, tools and equipment, and this is a big one. You want to have such things as fire and cooking equipment, supplemental lighting, be able to produce your own power, construction materials and tools, and repair and maintenance, depending on the type of and duration of the emergency situation. Certainly, that's not an exhaustive list of all tools and equipment you may need or desire, but that will certainly give you a good start in thinking about same. The third and final group is the admin group, and this is comprised of 4 essential management functions. And we'll spend a little bit of time on this because this is an area that is often overlooked. First are records, that is important documents. In an emergency, you want to have photo IDs in case you do not have access to all of your important papers. You want to have current photographs of everyone in your group. God forbid someone gets separated. You don't want to be running around trying to describe your kids or Aunt Ethel to the local authorities or to anyone else who may have seen her. Having duplicate photographs is, in my opinion, essential. Copies of insurance policies. These are critical in the event you have to bug out of your home in case of some type of natural disaster and you suffer a property casualty. Bank statements, you're going to want those as well. So you'll have access to your money in the long term if the big data banks get wiped out. Ownership documents. Now, we're not talking originals, but you want to have certified copies of deeds, right? Car titles, other important financial instruments. Medical records, very important to have. You want the major medical records for every person and pet in your group in case someone needs treatment and you don't have access to the originals in your home or wherever else they were kept. Second category is finance. In some emergencies, people are still using debit and credit cards, but oftentimes when the grid goes down, those type of things can no longer be used. So you want to have a good stash of cash on hand, unless things are a total breakdown. And if cash is no longer a viable form of exchange, you want to have some barter items available. As far as barter items, I'm not big into the whole gold and silver thing. I believe that the potential utility for precious metals in a breakdown type situation is overrated. If I'm going to trade, I think it will likely be ammunition and liquor. The third major category in this group, which is often overlooked, and that's morale. Maintaining some semblance of normalcy is important for managing stress and helping pass the time, especially if you have children and or pets. You're going to want certain things to keep the kids and the pets busy. Games and toys, books, treats for the kids and the pets. We keep a 10-pound bag of chocolate for the kitties to give them something good to look forward to. Things like that. The last thing anyone needs while they're trying to think and work their way through an emergency is having kids or just a whiny adult driving you nuts from the outside. It could push you to the limit, and I have been there. The fourth major category I tongue-in-cheek call intelligence. Now we got some cool stuff for that. We have drones and listening devices and operatives in the field now. Now we don't really have any of that. It's very basic stuff. We have an address book Not an electronic one, but a good old-fashioned one with important names, phone numbers, and addresses in it. We also keep lists of important resources, whether they're government resources or private resources, people we need to know. For example, we have a friend who's a muckety-muck at the electric company, and being able to contact him when the power goes out gives us a real good idea of when we can expect power coming back. There's also a very serious side to this as well. We live in a very safe neighborhood, but like anywhere else, there's a couple of bad apples. There's two younger kids, I think they're in their late teens. But anyway, these two jokers who live about a mile away from here robbed one of their neighbors at knife point. And they got caught, but they're juvies. And I keep a copy of the newspaper clipping with their picture in our little G2 or intelligence box. So if I see them around in an emergency situation, I'm going to assume that they're up to no good. These two clowns tried to rob an older couple while law and order was in full force and effect. I imagine they wouldn't be the most upstanding citizens if that law and order line were stretched very thin or disappeared. So there you have our groups and categorizations of survival equipment, and this is by no means the only way to do so. This is simply a summary to help you get and stay organized in the planning process. In future episodes in this series, we will drill down a bit further into these requirements in order to make an actual kit contents list. So, thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel, along with Bella the Camera Cat, hard at work as usual. Please thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions and enlightening comments are always welcome. Prep and be safe, everybody.